Hello everyone and welcome to another Stamina RPG 4 video, and since I'm starting in the middle of the song, you know what that means. I wasn't too happy with this and just decided, nah. Crap score. Alright, when I played this earlier, I didn't feel quite warmed up for it, so I played a little bit of another song. I was like, okay, let's try this again. I mean, there's not that much here. It just, yeah, I felt like the cramps were starting to come on. I was like, nah. And the score wasn't that good either, so just kind of getting back into the game, basically. And thus, with a little bit more warm-up time, I try it again. So, since I'm getting back into the game after the heat wave, I actually had to do some air conditioner fixing. That was part of why the air conditioner was struggling so much. There's a back hatch that you're not normally supposed to be able to access, and it was loaded with dust. There's nothing in the manual that you're supposed to clean that or anything like that. And it was like, oh, this is probably what's going on, because you know air conditioners need the airflow for the cooling blade thingies to work, and yeah, that was it. So once I fixed that, I was good to go in the heat department for the room. But anyway, so since I'm getting back into the game, you know, the cramps and the stiffness are kind of there. Mostly stiffness, I would say, though. I think cramps was a poor way to describe it earlier. I mean, yeah, there was some aches to that, but it was more like warm-up aches, because, you know, trying to warm up too fast for my own good, basically, when you're getting back into it and stuff like that. And as a result of that, I was kind of like, I'll just play something else. It's a bit slower to warm up, and I still am not quite feeling up to snuff here, and that is kind of the topic of this video here. I've always got a topic for each Stamina video lately to go over, besides air conditioner, and this one is about trying to get your technique back to where it was before, after, like, you know, after a break. So, as I said, I was feeling kind of stiff, and that was partly because I was playing stiff and just stomping too hard, but I also felt like that I was misaligned as well in where my feet were in relation to the arrows. So it was like I was tilted more towards the northeast side, if that makes sense, and that made it a bit harder to hit arrows in certain ways because my feet had to travel a bit more in certain circumstances, and thus, yeah, I was kind of getting pretty far off there. And as I was warming up more, I figured out that I was indeed doing that, and well, now look at the score. It looks quite a bit different, you know, how how it was before in terms of how the pacing was. So I was like, how did I manage to fix that? Well, again, that's part of the topic of this video, is trying to feel out where you are on the pad. Like, if your technique is off, like you're getting back into the game, as I mentioned, or maybe you're just having a bad day, just feel what you're doing with your feet. You know, feel where the arrows are, feel your body's alignment and everything like that, and see if you can figure out where you're off. If you could figure out where you're off, you can correct that, and then you'll be able to play a whole lot smoother. Yeah, I feel way better now. Yeah, for the rest of the session. See, the thing about it is that without good technique, it's just hard to keep up with the arrows at this sort of level. It just is. At least it is for me. So, I worked very hard in trying to keep everything in good alignment. So I got said like you know, the lowest distance from each arrow for my feet movements. Like you see, just by my right foot or left foot, if you're whichever one you want to watch, you can see that I'm just toeing in to the very edges of each arrow. See that? Yep. And when you're misaligned, it's kind of harder to feel that out because you're hitting more in the middle of an arrow pattern. I mean, not the arrow pattern, middle in the arrow pattern. I said it again, middle of the arrow panel, and whether you're hitting, like, say, in the middle, like you're under-hitting and you're not actually reaching an arrow, or you're over-hitting and you're hitting an arrow panel in the middle, you aren't really feeling that edge between the middle, like the middle solid portion, and the outer edge of the arrow itself, you know, where it sinks in. So, yeah, that kind of can throw off your misalignment as well.
I think this one's a tougher one than I thought.
And yeah, it's not tougher than I thought.
It's kind of relentless.
Yeah, it's just your technique is off, PkGam.
I guess we have one to pick getting back into the game then.
But don't worry. I'm getting back into it. But yeah, that's what I figured out over time. And I was only able to figure that out over time just by continually playing and trying to feel things out. Just how things have got to be sometimes. You gotta get yourself back up in ship shape in playing strength, you know? in strength skill, whatever you want to call it.
I didn't know the timing of that at all. Mine. And with that, I'm going to end off the video here. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Stats and stuff like that as usual.